Hi everyone, I'm Lauren and welcome back to my channel. This is Light and Lavender, where we talk about all things books and my own writing journey, and today I'm going through all the books I read in July. So July I didn't actually read as many books as I thought I had. I spent a lot of time reading 2 books, but eventually I managed to finish 3 from the entire month, and it was an okay reading month, but like I said, it took a while. The book that I finished July with, I didn't actually finish until around the first week in August, so I'm pushing that into August wrap up instead. The first book that I read in July was Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. This was a buddy read that I was doing with Cat's Reading Book Corner, I think it is, and Z from You Can't Catch Z, and I thought it was a good book. I gave it 3.75 stars. I thought that it started off a little bit too slow for me. I didn't really feel fully gripped in it. I don't know if the writing style, because it's so completely different to what I've usually read. I don't think that pulled me in as well as I was hoping it would do, but the story did progress really nicely and I did like the way that it ended up, and despite the writing style being something that I'm not normally used to, I did enjoy it. I felt like there was a lot of humour in there, but it was a little bit difficult to get into the full story because it wasn't as immersive. It felt like, it really did feel like I was reading sort of a diary or a journal by the main character, who was Falco Valbond, I think it was, and the way that it was written, it was very much his internal thoughts, but it seemed very journal-esque in the way that the thoughts were presented, and I think that did actually pull me out a little bit. But like I said, I did enjoy that style. I thought that the voice of the character was wonderful. It was so completely different to what I'm used to, but it did take a little bit of time. I did feel like some bits of the storyline were, I don't know, I feel like some areas just could have been expanded upon more. I don't know if it goes into it in more detail with the rest of the series, but it is a series that I will be looking to continue at some point in the future. But yeah, 3.75 stars. Overall, a pretty decent read, just a little bit slow to get into, and the ending really did pick the entire book up for me. The second book that I finished in July was Wendy, Darling by A.C. Wise. This was a book that I got from NetGalley. It wasn't a full ARC copy. The publisher were gifting out books to people, but I did get it from there, and I really loved the premise of this. This was a Peter Pan retelling with the main character and focus being on Wendy and the emotional and mental trauma that she went through from going to Neverland, and then how she's grown up with that knowledge. There was so much potential to this book. I really loved it. I loved the flashback scenes. I loved the way that Wendy was a resilient woman and how she'd grown into that. I also liked the hints of sort of asexuality for Wendy. They don't really become clear until much later on in the book, but I did like that sort of added extra of she didn't really feel love for people. It was a strange area to go into, but it's one that I felt like really resonated well with the story and the way that this character was fully portrayed. Like I said, I really loved the way this book started, but the ending, I don't know, it felt a bit rushed. I felt like there could have been so much more gone into with it, but we didn't get the full picture, and I don't know, I just feel like the way that the ending was done kind of, I don't know, I just didn't resonate with it so well. But I thought the ending made sense, but I didn't like it, I think is my issue. I just didn't like how the book ended, which is why it's 3.75 stars. This is a book that I would recommend to a multitude of people because it might not be everyone who dislikes the ending. I think I might be in a small minority of people who don't like the ending, but the way that Wendy was portrayed and her familial connections and her connection to Neverland and to Peter, I loved all of that interplay within this story, and I just wish the ending had just sort of landed a little bit better. The third and final book that I read in July was Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Byron. I think that's how you pronounce it. I always call it Byron. I'm not sure why, because there's definitely an A in there. This is a Cinderella retelling. I'm pretty sure it's also the author's debut book, and this is set in a world where Cinderella went to the ball, married her Prince Charming, and now there's a ball every year since, so that young girls can find their happily ever after. This book is set 200 years after Cinderella has died. Our main character, Sophie, is a lesbian who does not want to be chosen at this ball because she doesn't like men and she doesn't want to go with them. She's seen the abuses that happen at the hand of men who think they can do what they want, and she's seen how women have been downtrodden throughout her life and how she's not allowed the chance to do what she wants. She falls in love with her childhood friend and they're sort of like having a mini romance at the start of the book, but then obviously everything goes tragically wrong. I gave this book 4 stars. I really loved the idea behind it. I felt like some of the characters were a little bit obnoxious, and I think it's just the way that the characters were described. So there's a sort of side character, Constance, comes into play around the 15% mark of this book, and I didn't really like her. She seemed really obnoxious, full of herself, and just not a character that I enjoyed reading about, and I didn't really care what her storyline was or her part in the story. I feel like that character could have been done so much better, but I really loved Sophie's character and her resilience, I would say, to do what she thinks is best, and her ability to put herself in places where she shouldn't be, really. But I really enjoyed this book and I would really recommend this to quite a few people. I just felt there were some bits that I didn't really like, but for a debut I'm really impressed with this. I need to pick up Kaylin's other books. I think it's called This Poison Heart. I'm pretty sure that is a start of a series or a duology or something like that, but after reading this book I really need to get a copy of that because I did enjoy this and I really loved the author's writing style. So those were the only books that I actually managed to finish off in July. I did start a couple that have kind of moved across into August, so I'll let you know all about them in around a month's time. But I did struggle a bit to read in July because I was trying to write my own book. I managed to get 30,000 words written, but that did kind of put a dampener on the amount of time that I had to do some reading, so I don't feel like I did too bad to get 3 books read whilst also trying to edit and write and edit other books of my own. But let me know what you thought of the books that I read this month. Have you read them? Are there books that you have kind of been looking at to read, and if you want to know more about them? I don't like going into too many spoilers within these wrap-ups, so if you do want to know anything else or know any more details, let me know in the comments down below and I will give you a more comprehensive overview of my thoughts for these books. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more of my videos, don't forget to hit subscribe. There's a new one out every single week. I hope you're all well and you're all staying safe, and until next time, bye!